presentation. And we have on the panel, we have with us Cherie Tennessee from the United States, our main presenter, Jacqueline Kennedy from Zurich in Switzerland. And then we have, of course, Miss Karen Gale from the University Council of Jamaica. And I am so delighted that these ladies are able to join us to share with you all of what we know and the best way forward and the step in the direction for post-secondary, postgraduate certification in Jamaica. We also will be having a contribution by Mr. Kyle Mays, who is the chairman of the Linkages Committee. He will be making a contribution via video, and we welcome everyone to the panel this afternoon. Thank you for joining us live. Jacqueline, I would love to ask you to begin the presentations, and welcome to Jamaica via webinar, and we look forward to hearing what you have to share with us this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Marie. So a warm welcome from CIDESCO International here in the beautiful city of Zurich in Switzerland. It's my pleasure and my honor to be invited today to join you in this wonderful webinar. I would rather be in Jamaica. I hope next year I will be able to come to Jamaica to present personally to you on stage. So thank you so much, and also a warm welcome to the distinguished speakers today. It's my honor to be in the same presentation as these lovely ladies and also the gentleman in the video afterwards. And thank you so much, Marie, from the bottom of my heart. So I would love to start my presentation and bring you all to Zurich, Switzerland, to celebrate CIDESCO International. So thank you so much. I would like to share my presentation. I would need my presentation larger, actually. So if you could share my presentation larger, or will I share myself? Okay, that's okay for me. So to my person, as Marie has actually introduced me, I'm the Business Development Officer. If we could go back to where my picture is, that would be wonderful. So thank you, Marie. I'm the Business Development Officer of CIDESCO International. I'm not only the Business Development Officer, I'm actually also a beauty therapist. So today I imagine we have lots of beauty therapists who are listening in today. So welcome to my colleagues all over the world, and welcome especially to my colleagues in Jamaica. The next slide, please. It gives me great pleasure, and it's a high honor to actually announce that the Face Place Institute of Aesthetics in Jamaica is a CIDESCO accredited school. Here we can see the beautiful owner, who is very passionate about the beauty industry, Marie Hall Smith, who has an amazing experience and a wonderful background in the beauty and the spa industry. CIDESCO International accredits only schools all over the world who have training programs that actually meet CIDESCO standards. This is a very important point of CIDESCO International. CIDESCO's stringent requirements mean that only the best schools will be accredited. Can I have the next slide, please? The one before. I think it would be actually better if I share my own slides. Okay, so this is perfect. So CIDESCO's support office, our head office, is situated in Zurich, which is in very close proximity to the Swiss Alps, where precision, high standards of education, and innovation are the true essence of Swissness. The next slide, please. I would like to share with you today CIDESCO's aims. We were established in 1946. We have our Diamond Jubilee celebration this year, where you will see that for 75 years, we have been upholding and establishing the high standards in the beauty and spa industry on a global level. The next slide. Thank you. Our main aim is to promote aesthetics and cosmetology internationally on a global level. The next slide. We accredit, CIDESCO International accredits schools, salons and spas that meet the CIDESCO's standards. We also, our aim is to define professional standards within the beauty therapy and the spa industry. The next slide. We have a massive global footprint, and this I would like to share with you in the next slide. We have over 12,000 members in 28 countries, and we are delighted to say that Jamaica is now on our world card, so on our world map. So congratulations, Marie. We have over 230 schools in 40 countries who offer our qualifications. Next slide. And as I said, we have 75 years of continuous learning and standards in the CIDESCO accredited schools. We are very proud to have more than 75,000 graduates worldwide who have obtained our diplomas or our certification. Here you can see an example of one of our 24 diplomas and certificates. This is how it looks when our candidates achieve the Beauty and Spa Management Diploma International. We have over 24, and now I would like to introduce you to the certificates that here in Jamaica you can obtain. Here by Marie, in Marie's school, Marie will be offering the CIDESCO Body Therapy Certificate. This is a 565-hour certificate, which also has a postgraduate for all these wonderful beauty therapists who have a national certificate or over a minimum of 3 years experience in the beauty and spa industry. They will be allowed to have the postgraduate. This is a body certificate. And as you can see, there will be body electricals, there will be a pre-treatment, there will be masks, a body massage, and we also include projects and case histories. Another exciting certificate that Marie will be offering is a manual facial certificate. This is a 300-hour course, postgraduate, with a minimum of 30 hours, where it's a beautiful facial with cleansing, skin analyst, very important for every beauty therapist, tinting, shaping, a wonderful deep cleanse with a steam and brush machine, facial massage, and facial masks. Next slide. We also have a manual facial course book, which accompanies this certificate, which we are actually at this moment updating. As you know, in the beauty therapy world, updating to the highest standard and to the new news and everything, this is so important. This you will be able to see in Marie's school. The second facial certificate is a 285-hour course, also with a postgraduate of minimum 30 hours. The difference between the manual facial and the facial certificate is that there's no tinting and shaping in this. We have found, like Cherie is from America, okay, we have found that some students who go later and practice in America, you are not allowed to do tinting and also not allowed to do tinting. And this is why we have developed a facial certificate without tinting. This is predominantly for the USA and for Japan. We have many students who are in Japan and they are not allowed to tint. So this is exactly the same as a manual facial. It is only without the tinting. Next slide. And here we have obviously developed a facial certificate course book which has wonderful graphics and lots of information from the anatomy, the dermatology, the chemistry that is needed in the facial certificate book, and obviously the practical. Thank you. Next slide. Here you can see the contents. We have 24 chapters of theoretical and practical training. This is beautifully designed to capture the students' interest. This provides not only the students with all the knowledge, this is also very good for the tutors for the school. It assists the educators in the planning of the assessments. And when you can actually see the beautiful colorful graphics, we have lots of colors in there, and this animates the student actually to learn. Thank you. An amazing and a wonderful diploma which CIDESCO International offers is the Beauty and Spa Management Diploma. Marie is extremely excited about this diploma. This is a 100% online. This is a theoretical diploma with over 300 hours, and the postgraduate we actually launched yesterday. Okay? CIDESCO International launched yesterday the postgraduate diploma in the beauty and spa management. This is for therapists who have over 3 years working experience in the industry and who have a managerial or a supervisory position. They can actually do the postgraduate with a minimum of 30 hours. If you do not have the managerial or supervisory qualifications, then you can do the 300 hours online by Marie. There is no prerequisites for the 300-hour course, and you will learn a comprehensive understanding of the spa management. A PowerPoint presentation of your business plan will be at the examination. To the CIDESCO postgraduate qualifications, we have in Marie's school the following diplomas and certificates. This is the beauty and spa management, the body therapy, the manual-facial, and the facial certificate. Thank you. And to the postgraduate qualifications, the theoretical, it can be done on-site or 100% online. We have, as I have mentioned, a recommended minimum hours of training. We ask our CIDESCO school to do a prior learning assessment, and this must be tailor-made to have covered about all subjects in the course. So it's not only a 30-hour or a 40-hour course. This can sometimes be, when a postgraduate, to 150. This depends on actually the assessment that the school carries out. This is a minimum hour of 30 or 40 hours, but the prior assessment, the test, which you will have in Marie's school, will actually determine how long your individual tailored course made will be for each subject, where you have to cover each subject in our syllabus. And another very exciting award, and this is a sanitation and a sterilization award, which we have developed last year, especially during the COVID-19. Thank you. There are some features in the Sanitation and Sterilization Award, and this was developed with the CIDESCO standing operational procedures. And this is actually for not only the candidates, this is also for the clients, that the standards are kept high in the salon or in the spa for the safety for the client and also for the staff. There are no prerequisites to sit this course. This is an 8-hour theory workbook. There will be an MCQ with 25 questions, and the login code you will find through CIDESCO International. Thank you. And this Sanitation and Sterilization Award is our answer to social responsibility. This is a gift from CIDESCO International with our compliments. So please join us in the Sanitation Sterilization Award and send us an email to info@cidesco.com. Please state that you are in Jamaica, or Cherie, you're in America. Well, and please take our CIDESCO Sanitation Sterilization Award. You can contact Marie, she will forward you, and you can forward you this 8-hour course book, and you can achieve actually your first award from CIDESCO International. This is just a small area of what CIDESCO International does, but we are delighted to have our first accredited CIDESCO International School in the beautiful island of Jamaica. Okay? CIDESCO graduates are sought from employers worldwide, from leading spas, beauty salons, and advanced aesthetic clinics. The CIDESCO qualifications are a high mark of achievement, and I hope you will join Marie in her beautiful school to obtain these qualifications. Thank you so much for inviting me tonight. It was my pleasure, and next year I will see you all in Jamaica.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. I mean, if I could do the thing for applause and everything, amazing. Thank you. And what a lovely gift, a gift that's so timely to be able to log on and take advantage of the CIDESCO qualification in sanitation and sterilization. It's so important, so timely for us right now in our industry, especially in Jamaica, as we still, you know, are really getting through and following and observing all protocols regarding safety for our clients or staff, you know, just general welfare. Thank you for that offer. And we thank you so much for your presentation. It segues right into Miss Tennessee, who is in Las Vegas right now. I would just like to say that Cherie Tennessee brings a wealth of knowledge to the table. She has been practicing as a therapist for years. She contributes every year, sometimes 3 times a year at global conferences. She's an author, she's an educator. She has her website, which is, you know, Spa SOS. If you go to, she always gathers and networks professionals together. And I thank her so much for taking her time to segue right into trends and what people are expecting currently in the industry from, you know, professionals who practice. So thank you, Cherie, and I will turn over to you.
Thank you so much. It is truly a pleasure to be here today. I want to say congratulations to you, Marie, and the Faceplace Institute on this phenomenal accreditation. CIDESCO really sets the bar in education around the world. So it really is a huge accomplishment, and it is a wonderful opportunity for therapists in Jamaica. So if they're ready on the side, you can start the presentation. Thank you. You can go next. All right. So as we talk about the trends, we've seen so much transpiring in the last 18 months from where we were to where we are. And I went to a great presentation last night, and the gentleman said, there is no before, there's only forward. And I love this quote: the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And we've seen that time after time, but it really was a spotlight on it in 2020. Next. So a little bit about me. I've had the pleasure of actually meeting Marie when I worked in Jamaica. I was the director of education for Red Lane Spas, and actually headed up a education program, not to the level of CIDESCO by any means, Jacqueline, but we did have a bar to aim to. So I've been in the industry as a massage therapist for about 20 years, nail tech, have had a real passion for education, to the point that I'm actually in Las Vegas at UNLV, literally, and I'm completing my PhD in hospitality with a focus on wellness. So when we talk about some of the trends that are really coming down the pipeline, this concept of quality of life and well-being continues to lead the charge in what's going to be coming for wellness, spas, salon, and beauty. Next. So just a little disclaimer, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. You can also reach out to me afterwards, as well as Marie, with any questions that you may have. Thank you. Next. And let's go ahead and get started. Next. I love to dive into the numbers. So I am in the US, and I put an extra slide in here. So I love starting with the numbers, but before we get into that, one of the things that I love to talk about is when we talk about wellness, you don't necessarily have to go to a mountaintop or have to go to a beach to be able to have this experiences. As we are all adjusting and adapting to this new world post-COVID, when we talk about meditation and wellness, it's something that we can do right here. And I invite everyone now to take a deep breath in and out. And we have practiced wellness, even if just for 15 seconds. So next. I am a scientist, I'm a researcher, I love the numbers, and it's just really astounding what the numbers are in the industry. It took a little while to be able to get the updated numbers, but in the US, which is where I'm based, we have the International Spa Association. They produce an annual report, which kind of gives you the pulse of what's happening in the industry. So in 2018, the numbers were $18.3 billion. 2019 was a staggering year for spa. The revenue was up to $19.1 billion, which is higher than it had been the Great Recession. It's going to be very interesting to see what the numbers are for 2020 and 2021 and moving forward. Spa visits had also increased. We went from 190 million to 192 million. And then the average ticket price had increased from $96.50 to $99.50 US. In the US, hospitality spa continues to be one of the fastest growing sectors. There's been a little bit of a pause on that due to everything that's happening post-COVID and just the effects. Next slide. Looking at a global perspective, you don't have to be a member to get the results from the Global Wellness Institute. They produce annual reports. You can go to their website. I was just on their site last night and looking at spa revenue. It's expected to reach $128 billion in 2022. We sit in September of 2021. So what the numbers are projecting is that there really is going to continue to be a boom globally for spa services. The other huge component is wellness tourism, where people are traveling for wellness experiences, be it yoga, be it retreats, be it a dietary, be it, I was looking at pictures this morning, Marie, from 6 years ago, and I was in Mobay and looking at clear water. And I'm like, that's all I would need is just to go look at some clear water. So people are looking to have these different experiences around the concept of wellness. Next. So let's talk a little bit about and dive deeper into what are some of the trends that we're really seeing. Thank you. Next slide. I have to tell you, this is such a challenge for someone who's been teaching for 20 years, not to be in charge of your presentation, but I love it. I'm letting go of control. One of the biggest trends that we are seeing is a transition from this idea of simply spa and beauty till it now reaches a full umbrella under that of wellness. And that was actually a report that came out earlier this year from the Global Wellness Institute. Thank you. So when we talk about wellness, what is wellness? The World Health Organization defines wellness as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. It goes beyond the mere freedom of disease and infirmity and emphasizes the proactive maintenance of well-being. Now, sadly, this definition has been around since about 1942 and has not really evolved or changed until now. So there was a great book that came out on the concept of wellness, and he looked at 12 different pillars. And one of the ones that I really fell in love with and what they started with was this one where wellness really starts with self-responsibility and care. And then it goes around to how you eat, how you think, where you're traveling to. And I do feel like this is what has been embraced, even though it's not officially in the definition, is there is a self-care month, there's a self-improvement month, there's a wellness month, where we're really looking at ourselves and how we're showing up and how we're taking care of ourselves, more so than just looking at it of being free from disease. Next slide. So why is this important? Next slide. Because when we're talking about trends, and we've really seen this impact in 2020 going to 2021, we're going to have to get creative in one, not only how we attract external customers, but internal customers, right? So how are we attracting these therapists to be able to provide these wonderful experience to those individuals that are coming through the door? It is going to require us to get creative. So let's talk about those external guests first. Beautiful, yay. So who is the spa goer? It is the most educated population in history. On average, 45% of spa goers have at least a bachelor's degree, about 10% have up to a PhD. So they're very educated and they're knowledgeable about spa services. They're on Instagram, they're on YouTube. They really are looking at, we just had the Emmys last weekend, they're looking at what are the techniques that these celebrities are doing, where you have stylists, where you have estheticians, where you have nail techs are talking about the techniques and they're showing you this. So with that, they're coming in with the knowledge, with the request. So we have to be making sure that we are educated and trained on what are these different trends so that we can meet those demands. Before COVID and as we move forward, clients are continuing to seek to de-stress, rejuvenate, and reconnect. And one of the trends that we really saw that we thought was going to take a little bit of a downturn is this concept of high tech and low touch. When we get to some of the trends, we're going to see that that has reversed. So what are the populations that are coming into the spa? We still have our baby boomers. They like those prefab, you get your massage, your facials, and your nail packages. Generation X, we have the most money, but it's not a lot of us. And then you have the millennials who really were about the technology, they're about the youthful services, but interestingly enough, they have been surpassed by another population, Gen Z. So Gen Z is about 22 years old down to the age about 5 years old. They control the purse strings in the house. They're just now starting to really enter the workforce, and there's a lot of research on them, but they are tech driven. They have been through a Great Recession and a Great Depression, or the Great Pandemic. So their mindset and their approach is very unique. They want out of the box and they truly want experiences. So when we talk about what are some of the trends that we've seen over the last 18 months, number one is immune boosting. Just thinking about COVID, what is it that we can do to prevent these issues, to take better care of ourselves? As I said previously, there was this push of high tech, low touch, but what we've started to see in the last 18 months is individuals want less touch. They want to be able to go into a room and maybe not even have a therapist in the room. Now, this seems like it would contraindicate what we do as service providers, but really understanding when we look at this workforce shortage, you're going to have to bring in more technology to meet the demand. There is a convergence of spa, beauty, healthcare, and wellness. In the US, we're starting to see a lot more acceptance of insurance from chiropractors, from acupuncturists, massage therapists, where it is a part of your healthcare program and wellness and just an overall maintenance. One of the other big trends that we've seen, and I absolutely can attest to it, having moved from a condo to a house in Vegas, I do not want to be indoors. And that is a common theme that we're seeing is people want to be outside in nature. So coming to Jamaica, going to Bali, going to the Alps in Switzerland, being able to be outside, the sunlight, the fresh air, and just having those different interactions. Thank you, because my glasses are not real. The other thing that we're seeing is spa memberships. And this is more from a revenue aspect, where if you're coming in for these services and you're paying a monthly fee, whether you come or not, we're starting to see more of that model being incorporated because it's a guarantee of revenue. We're also seeing a real customer-centric experience where we are focusing not just on our revenue, on our location, but what can we offer to our clients coming in that's going to be unique, that they will be able to bring back, and that will draw them back to our location again and again and again. The other piece that we're really seeing is approachable wellness. For the past 50 years, wellness really has been white, and it's been wealthy. And I love seeing this movement of Black Girl Yoga. There's a woman who has a goal of by 2025 of having 1 million women practicing breath work and all that it does, and just more inclusion of all, not just races, but all body types, as well as all functionability. So one of the questions that I get on a pretty regular basis is, okay, I see wellness, I have my menu, but my challenge is I can't find any therapist. And you're going to have to get creative in this aspect as well. Next. So understanding the role that spa employees have on the industry has evolved over the last 20 years. So if you go back and you look at an iSpa book, they call us day makers, where people were coming in, they were getting their facials, they were getting their nails and their hair done, and we made their day. But what we're really starting to see now, and especially post-COVID, is that the role of a therapist has really turned into a life enhancer, where maybe that's the only person you talk to, or maybe that's the only person you're engaging with who's going to touch you. And we really are enhancing the life of our clients. Next. How are we able to attract? So a lot of spa owners, and I'm sure it's not just in Jamaica, it is globally. When I was at Sandals Red Lane Spa, we actually developed the Red Lane Institute because we had such a demand for service providers, but they weren't coming through the door. So we developed our own in-house training, similar to what the Faceplace is doing now, though they have a much better accreditation with CIDESCO. And we're seeing that that has become much more common. If you could go back to the previous slide, where there was just an article on iSpa about the Woodlock Spa in Pennsylvania, where they have now partnered with massage schools. So if there is a front desk agent who aspires to be a massage therapist, after 90 days, the spa will pay for them to be able to go to school. We were seeing the same thing. I just had a training last night where they were talking about logistics, where trucking agencies are now paying for people to go to school or establishing their own schools. So Marie, I commend you. You are definitely ahead of the race and producing quality individuals that will stay in your location and hopefully around the entire island of Jamaica. But we are going to have to get creative. So does that mean that we're doing retention bonuses? Is that raffles on Saturday, which tends to be your busiest day, where you may be, well, anybody who comes to work, you put your name in a little bundle. At the end of the day, we pull it out and you win a prize. And I know this is such a foreign concept to baby boomers and Gen X, because it's like you show up, you go to work, you get paid, that's what you're supposed to do. But the mindset and the audience has changed dramatically. So we do have to offer these prizes and rewards for the basics of just showing up, because we're in a time now where people no longer are. So having to get creative in not only attracting and producing that quality therapist, but making sure that they are committed and loyal to your location. So those are some of the biggest trends that we've been seeing from one service, a business location, and what needs to be brought in, but also those are some of the biggest trends that we're seeing from an employee aspect as well. So the last or next slide. Thank you. I hope that this was informative for you. If you have any questions, again, you can reach out to me directly, or as well as Maria at the Faceplace, and you can go to the last slide, which has my information on it. There we go. I am on Instagram constantly. That's where Maria and I probably connect and communicate the most, which is the Spa SOS. But you can also reach me via email at thespasos gmail.com. Thank you again. It was such a pleasure to be here among so many professionals.
Thank you so much, Cherie. And as always, you just encapsulate so much. And, you know, we really appreciate in the 20 minutes, you know, provided, you were able to give such a comprehensive presentation touching on so many topics. And one of the things that you said, which was most, you know, notable to me, was that the level of clients that we are now servicing, their educational background and what they're expecting. And as such, we as therapists have to be able to communicate, to be able to listen, and to be able to meet and exceed their expectations. And as you rightfully said, this comes through quality training, standards, certification. And this is a perfect opportunity now to segue right into Ms. Karen Gale, who is here from the University Council of Jamaica. She's one of the leading, you know, persons when it comes to developing standards there. I have sat on some boards with her, or some, you know, we've created some standards along the way over the years. And I'm so really pleased and happy to have her share the qualification framework of Jamaica that aligns with, you know, global standards and certification. Because we as therapists, whether we're going to be coming into the industry for the first time, you know, approaching a technical vocational route, especially for post-secondary learners, or if we are already in the industry and we want to see, you know, where next, what are the next steps, what are the next levels for us, this is the perfect opportunity for Miss, you know, Gail to present how the qualification plan aligns with certification and global training. Thank you, Miss Gail.
Thank you, Marie. Are you hearing?
Yes, we're hearing you quite clearly.
Oh, thank you. Those two presentations were so interesting and informative and exciting. I feel like I want to get into the spa and wellness industry.
Well, there's always.
That was really very good. I want to thank you and your team for inviting the University Council of Jamaica to be a part of this webinar. And on behalf of the UCJ, I also want to congratulate you and your team at the Face Place for this innovative move to have this partnership with CIDESCO. I listened to the presentation from Jacqueline, and wow, an expansive array of programs that can be offered and that can benefit Jamaicans. I would like to therefore move into my presentation to speak to how the National Qualifications Framework of Jamaica facilitates international certification. And that is very important as we listen to you, Marie, and as we listen to Jacqueline's presentation. Just a little bit about the University Council of Jamaica. It was born out of an Act of Parliament in 1987 that made it the National External Quality Assurance Agency of Jamaica, and a statutory body under the portfolio ministry of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. And it is a member of the International Network of Quality Assurance Agencies for Higher Education in Quahé that is headquartered in Spain. Further, just a little bit more about the UCJ, our vision. The UCJ aims to be a center of excellence enabling national, regional, and international development through quality assurance in higher education. And our mission is to facilitate and oversee the development and maintenance of a robust higher education quality assurance system. So we're all about quality assurance. The next. All right, so this presentation, I'm going to be taking you through the context of why we have a national qualifications framework. The concept of certification that we have been talking about since this webinar started, certification and how it encourages and facilitates career mobility. The benefits of certification, the National Qualifications Framework, a little bit about it, and particularly about the National Qualifications Framework of Jamaica, the level descriptors of the NVQ-J, and some of the benefits. So moving right ahead, I took a little a quotation here from the National Qualifications Framework of Jamaica, which I thought is very relevant to what we're discussing here and the mission of the FACEplace. A National Qualifications Framework makes qualifications more transparent, enabling comparison of any given qualification with an international equivalent. It therefore provides the basis for international recognition and should increase the mobility of labor. This is an excerpt from the National Qualifications Framework of Jamaica. So certification is described as a credential that an individual acquires on successful completion of training, whether on the job, in class, or through prior learning. And certification is generally determined after assessment on completion of successful completion and recognition of the established learning outcomes. The benefits of certification. So, certification validates the knowledge and competencies of the program. Certification increases the marketability of the person who holds the certification. Certification also enables increased earning power. It enhances performance and increased confidence. Have we ever seen persons who complete a training program and at graduation, how confident these people appear? And also on the job, when we have our workers go for training and they return with their qualification, how improved their confidence appears. And so certification for mobility. This chart here shows that someone can move from being an unskilled worker in the workplace and travel all the way up the top of the rung, up to the highest level. I'll show you on the National Qualifications Framework shortly how persons can move. Next slide, please. And so, as we move into looking at the National Qualifications Framework, the National Qualifications Framework is described as an instrument for the placement of qualifications in terms of levels. National qualifications frameworks exist across the world, and these countries started developing national qualifications frameworks from as far back as the early 1990s. There are over 100 countries with national qualifications frameworks right now. And a national qualification framework shows all the qualifications that exist in the country. So each level of the qualification is defined based on learning outcomes, what the learner should know and be able to demonstrate. So as we listen to Jacqueline's presentation, as I listened, I heard Jacqueline talk about some of the modalities that are used for training. And she mentioned the recognition of prior learning. And that is also an attribute of the National Qualifications Framework, which we'll look at shortly. But the National Qualifications Framework, as we talk about international recognition, comparability, equivalency, portability, are some of the attributes of national qualifications frameworks. And so short courses, now we talk a lot about micro-credentials. Right now, the UCJ is in the process of developing standards for micro-credentials because employers are now focusing on shorter courses so that they can focus more on the competencies of the workers. Pathways, national qualifications frameworks are also seen as pathways to progress because, as I showed you in the slide earlier, a worker can move from the lowest level right up the ladder to the highest level. And this is what the National Qualifications Framework of Jamaica looks like. It has 5 what I like to call tracks. So the levels you see on the far left run from 1 to 8. Then we have a general education track, which stops at level 3 at the upper secondary level. Then we have the technical vocational education and training track, where in Jamaica we have our national vocational qualifications, and they move from 1 to 8. And then we have what is relatively new, the occupational degrees. And at the moment, we are offering in the higher education system occupational associate degrees, and the UCJ has been developing standards for occupational associate degree programs. Recently, we developed the occupational associate degree for standards for beauty and wellness. Then we have the tertiary education track, which runs from the diploma up to the doctoral level. And very importantly, especially for the workforce and workplace, lifelong learning. Again, I heard Jacqueline mention that, and I was happy to hear that because lifelong learning is a very important component of the National Qualifications Framework. In fact, it is one of the chief reasons why national qualifications frameworks were developed to create more flexibility for everyone who wants to, so persons who do not have certain qualifications, anybody at all is able to move throughout the system. The slide you're seeing now shows the level descriptors on the National Qualifications Framework. Every National Qualifications Framework has the level descriptors, and what these are, for each level of the framework, there are descriptors that tell the institution, the learner, the employer, anybody who is interested, what are the expected learning outcomes at a particular level. So for example, as we now talk about the FacePlace and the programs that are going to be offered in collaboration with CIDESCO, if the FacePlace wishes to have these, programs evaluated based on the National Qualifications Framework and to determine at what level they are, these are the descriptors of the outcomes that you would use. So you can use this, and I only took from the National Qualifications Framework the descriptors for certificate level and diploma level. So we have level descriptors for all the levels right up to level 8. What are the benefits of the National Qualifications Framework of Jamaica? First and foremost, and I love this one, it creates flexible learning pathways for everybody, anybody who wants to move from one level to the other. I always say that somebody who is at the level 1 can, over time, get to level 8. And also that you can be in the TVET track, on the TVET track, but you can also move across to other tracks. For example, you may want to go over to the academic track because you want to earn a master's to become a teacher, for example. Or you are in the academic track and you want to move over into the TVET. Or you have been working in your profession, in your field for many years, and you do not have a qualification. You can go to, I hope the FacePlace will have that system set up. And this is where the standards come in. It is important that the internal quality assurance systems are in place to facilitate. Could you go back to that slide? Let me just expound on one or two more. Recognition of equivalency and of qualifications earned in different countries. This is very important. So now that we have CIDESCO, partnering with the FacePlace, it is recognized immediately because we have a national qualifications framework, right? So no longer can people be worried about the fact that I have an international qualification. It was not our certification. It was not earned in Jamaica. That's not a problem. Furthermore, the University Council of Jamaica has a credentials assessment unit that will look at the qualification and determine where it lies, where it stands, and authenticate it. And improved relationships. The National Qualifications Framework, facilitates the improved relationships among, stakeholders. So institutions and the employers work together to ensure that more and more persons can be certified. Next slide, please. So I am rounding down. I think this is my last slide. Skills have become the global currency of the 21st century economies. You remember there was a time when the focus was on academics, and those of us who have been in technical vocational education and training over the years would know the struggles that we faced for skills to be recognized. And now we see where skills have become the global currency of the 21st century. Micro-credentials is the employer's response to the issue of, some qualifications, some programs taking too long. So employers will determine what are the specific competencies that they need. And so more and more employers are requiring shorter courses. Prior learning assessment and recognition I spoke about. And finally, internal quality assurance systems. I can't say that more. I am happy that I heard Marie and Jacqueline and Cherie talk about quality, internal quality assurance systems that are built into the institution's programs. And then the UCJ is responsible for the external quality assurance. It is the UCJ that will look at what you have and authenticate it at that particular level. And so I close as we started with this quotation: the National Qualifications Framework makes qualifications more transparent, enabling comparison of any given qualification with an international equivalent. It therefore provides the basis for international recognition and should increase the mobility of labor. I am very pleased that the Faceplace is actually promoting the National Qualifications Framework. And I'm always very pleased to see that employers are, looking at it and using it as we facilitate and the development of our employees and the workforce. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gail. I mean, it just fills my heart to hear your presentation, because I myself, really embody the product of, really adhering to this, the framework, because which I always introduce myself when I'm training, I began, the technical vocational route. I was one of the first students in my mother's program in 1989. And as such, then went on now to university. So I truly, really embraced the framework and went on to then earn all the way up to a master's degree, so that I could not only teach, but be able to better run the business that I now operate. And so therefore, I fully understand the integration and, on both sides. And that is why it has always been a pursuit to reach where we are with the CIDESCO accreditation, because that is the pinnacle. That is like the really, it's the point where you reach, where you feel, no, yes, you are truly there. And this is what we at the Institute wanted to do. It's been a mandate for us to really be able to offer this to learners, because we realize the value and the importance for our workforce here in Jamaica to be ready, to always be ready. And we have been. We have answered so many calls in terms of labor abroad and working in spas, but I often get requests for transcripts. And now when I do write the transcripts because of the hours and of course our standing formerly with NCT, but now with UCJ, we are now listed on the UCJ's website as an accredited, private accredited institution. So if you go on their website, you can look for us and you will find us. It's not that easy, I must say, Miss Gail, but we're there. Because we are the Faceplace Institute under the private institutions, I think we must be the last one. But we are a private accredited training organization listed on UCJ's site. And of course, as Jacqueline spoke to, the importance of the standards that a school must have first to be even considered for CIDESCO. So thank you again for your presentation. It enlightened so much. You shared so much. And before we close, I would just like to share the contribution that the general manager of Jamaica Inn, Mr. Kyle Mays, and also the chairman of our linkages committee, the video that he shared, his contribution that he shared, that pretty much encapsulates everyone's presentation, from Jacqueline to Cherie to yourself. Cherie had to leave us because she's gone off to teach. She's in Las Vegas and they are 2 hours behind, so she had to leave to go to her class. But we thank her for her contribution. I ask everyone to just please watch this presentation by Mr. Mays. Thank you very much, Ms. Gail.
Thank you, Marie. And I truly appreciate you inviting me to this panel. And I wish you all the greatest success in the Face Places Institute webinar. I join you today wearing a number of hats within the industry. Yes, I'm the proud general manager of an award-winning resort here in Ocherius. HGA's Small Hotels and Accommodations Committee, and further the chairman of TEF's Health and Wellness Committee. So after the year and a half we've all had to endure, just allow me a minute to congratulate you on well, surviving the devastating impact the COVID pandemic had on all of our businesses, in fact, and in particular spas and tourism on a whole. And for us to be having this conversation today on standardization and certification is really truly brilliant and extremely timely, especially as our industry is so high touchy-feely and very much service oriented. So let's look in the rear view mirror for a minute before focusing on the future. And it's safe to say that the tourism industry was among the exceptional performers, I think, in putting Jamaica on a path to reopening the economy after the battering by the pandemic. So among the key elements of the pandemic management for us was the ministry's creation of the very innovative resilient corridor we talk so much about. And the corridor demonstrated that realistic positive outcomes are possible in achieving the delicate balance between the scientific rigor of adherence to public health protocols while at the same time carrying out significant economic recovery activities in the public's interest. So effectively, very important point, standardized protocols and certification help to put trust and confidence in our visitors again, and indeed even our Jamaican folks who visited our establishments, and in the sustained management of the pandemic at that critical time and level. Jamaica was one of the hardest hit countries in the world by the pandemic due to not only its reliance on tourism, but the extensive linkages in our other businesses such as health and wellness, manufacturing, agriculture, energy, construction, financial services, and so on. Tourism represents a significant contribution to the foreign exchange earnings, and it accounts for 50% and 30% of employment, and 30% direct injection into gross domestic product earnings. So the pandemic had effectively locked down a $4 billion industry that was the economic engine of Jamaica, robbing it of 350 or 1,000 jobs and putting employees at a risk of losing their homes and their cars, even keeping food off the tables and collapsing disposable income completely. So tourism in Jamaica had a capacity made up of a wide range of operators of hotels, transport, attractions, spas, shopping, craft markets, restaurants and bars, collectively referred to as the tourism infrastructure. And this came to an abrupt, absolute halt in March 2020 when our borders were rightfully closed to prepare the country for risk mitigation. But many of us found ourselves having to pivot then to achieve the best outcomes for our businesses. And the models we had to change the business models where we could, and especially the service industry, again, the protocol standardization, retraining, certification, and the use of PPEs and person-to-person barriers became the order of the day for survival. Not many countries could have survived such a devastation as we did, so we have to give ourselves a round of applause there. But let's look at some lessons we learned, and in my experience, Certification again had been very and extremely important even prior to COVID in allowing us to reach the award-winning standards we have here at the Inn. Certification is an excellent calling card. Since it guarantees that products and services provided by us
It's happening.
Thank you, Marie, and I truly appreciate you inviting me to this panel, and I wish you all the greatest success in the Face Places Institute webinar. I join you today wearing a number of hats within the industry. Yes, I'm the proud general manager of an award-winning resort here in Ocherius, but I also am the chairman of the JHGA's Small Hotels and Accommodations Committee, and further the chairman of TEF's Health and Wellness Committee. So after the year and a half we've all had to endure, just allow me a minute to congratulate you on well, surviving the devastating impact the COVID pandemic had on all of our businesses, in fact, and in particular spas and tourism on a whole. And for us to be having this conversation today on standardization and certification is really truly brilliant and extremely timely, especially as our industry is so high touchy-feely and very much service oriented. So let's look in the rear view mirror for a minute before focusing on the future. And it's safe to say that the tourism industry was among the exceptional performers, I think, in putting Jamaica on a path to reopening the economy after the battering by the pandemic. So among the key elements of the pandemic management for us was the ministry's creation of the very innovative resilient corridor we talk so much about. And the corridor demonstrated that realistic positive outcomes are possible in achieving the delicate balance between the scientific rigor of adherence to public health protocols, while at the same time carrying out significant economic recovery activities in the public's interest. So effectively, very important point, standardized protocols and certification help to put trust and confidence in our visitors again, and indeed even our Jamaican folks who visited our establishments, and in the sustained management of the pandemic at that critical time and level. Jamaica was one of the hardest hit countries in the world by the pandemic due to not only its reliance on tourism, but the extensive linkages in our other businesses such as health and wellness, manufacturing, agriculture, energy, construction, financial services, and so on. Tourism represents a significant contribution to the foreign exchange earnings, and it accounts for 50% and 30% of employment, and 30% direct injection into gross domestic product earnings. So the pandemic had effectively locked down a $4 billion industry that was the economic engine of Jamaica, robbing it of 350,000 jobs and putting employees at a risk of losing their homes and their cars, even keeping food off the tables and collapsing disposable income completely. So tourism in Jamaica had a capacity made up of a wide range of operators of hotels, transport, attractions, spas, shopping, craft markets, restaurants and bars, collectively referred to as the tourism infrastructure. And this came to an abrupt, absolute halt in March 2020 when our borders were rightfully closed to prepare the country for risk mitigation. But many of us found ourselves having to pivot then to achieve the best outcomes for our businesses. And the models we had to change the business models where we could, and especially the service industry, again, the protocol standardization, retraining, certification, and the use of PPEs and person-to-person barriers became the order of the day for survival. not many countries could have survived such a devastation as we did. So we have to give ourselves a round of applause there. But let's look at some lessons we learned. And in my experience, certification again had been very and extremely important even prior to COVID in allowing us to reach the award-winning standards we have here at the Inn. Certification is an excellent calling card. Since it guarantees that product and services provided by us and the systems we have implemented are compliant and applicable and with all the standards. Further, it has set us apart from the competition and has forced us to continually upgrade our practices according to changes in the industry's requirements. So just to summarize, I found that certification is one of the best assets for providing customers with a guarantee of quality. And it demonstrates that our procedures are best practice. Very important. It also instills trust in our customers. I mentioned that with the Resilient Corridor. Suppliers, shareholders and partners. And last but not the least, it helps to strengthen our position in the market. It's a big marketing tool. So it's for these reasons I'm able to, and I am a big advocate for standardization and certification, such as the comprehensive offerings of CIDESCO within the whole linkages and wellness network. So again, I just hope you were able to gander a little bit of insight into what I feel certification and certainly standardization is so important and what it has done for us. And I look forward to hearing the comments from our other panelists. And as again, just have a wonderful webinar.
Thank you so much for that contribution, Mr. Mays. And ladies, Jacqueline Kennedy, Karen Gale, Cherie Tennessee, thank you so much for your participation. We have many questions, but what we're going to do, we're going to direct them to our social media page. So we're going to ask that anyone who has any questions, please direct them to our social media page, the Faceplace Institute. We are here to answer all your questions. I want to relieve Miss Kennedy because it is very late where she is. She has had a lot of webinars for the past week. And again, we just thank her for taking the time. It's now after 10 p.m. where she is. So please direct all your questions to the Faceplace Institute. We have some questions, Jacqueline, from viewers in Anguilla and Antigua that are our past students. They're interested in all our postgraduate programs. They're interested in, how they can, do courses from where they are. So we'll flood you with questions in the week, and you're always very responsive. And thanks again for everyone for tuning in. Ms. Gale, again, much thanks and appreciation to the UCJ and yourself for being available. Thank you, everyone.
All the best to you and the Faceplace in your new programs.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure, Marie, and it was a pleasure to be with so distinguished speakers today. And thank you very much for inviting us all. Wish you lots of luck and success, and we will stay in touch.
Thank you. Good night.
Rise in style with Tuesday Style. This and every Tuesday in your Daily Observer. Jamaica Observer, always ahead.